Squid Game Season 3 is finally here. Welcome to the new game, Cliff Jump Rope. Contestant 456, Gi-hun, is the first to charge ahead. On both sides of a narrow bridge, two giant wooden dolls stand holding a steel cable that swings back and forth like a jump rope. The bridge is only wide enough for one person at a time. If you're hit by the rope, you're knocked off, and it's game over. Gi-hun keeps jumping, inching forward slowly. He's got a baby wrapped in his shirt, strapped to his chest. Each jump is careful, precise. He finally makes it to the middle of the bridge, but it's a trap. The bridge is broken. Now, Gi-hun has to jump in place, stuck with no way to cross. How's he supposed to make it across that gap? Can Gi-hun survive and win it all? This season is the grand finale of Squid Game. Here's a quick recap. At the end of Season 2, Gi-hun had tried to attack the game organizers, but he got caught. They shipped him back inside a coffin. When he wakes up, the first thing he does is ask player Hyunju, "What happened to our rebellion crew?" Hyunju doesn't answer. Meanwhile, the big pink piggy bank fills up again. 35 players died in the uprising. The prize money now totals 39.6 billion won. Gi-hun snaps, "I lost. Why didn't you just kill me?" He points a gun at his own head. Contestant 001 watches silently. The guards cuff Gi-hun to the bed. From now on, unless you're playing a game, you're locked up. After another vote, the majority chooses to keep playing. Contestant 100, the old man, mocks Gi-hun for being stupid. The psychic lady joins in on the insults. After surviving 3 brutal games, only 60 out of 456 players are still alive. Now comes Game 4, Hide and Seek. Before it starts, everyone's split into 2 teams via a giant capsule vending machine. Red uniforms equals the hunters. Blue uniforms equals the hiders. The rules are simple. Hunters win if they kill one person. Hiders win if they find the exit or survive the full 30 minutes. Hiders each get a room key. Hunters each get a knife. But then, an awkward twist. The mom and son duo ended up on opposing teams. They quickly agree to swap roles. The pregnant woman also switches with player Myung-gi because her baby is actually his. Player Myung-gi swears to protect her no matter what. The game begins. The hiders enter a massive maze with a glowing starry ceiling. They have 2 minutes to hide. Contestant 100, the old man, is over 70 and terrified of dying. He urges everyone to split up and find the exit. Whoever finds it, shout so we all know. The pregnant woman moves slowly. The mother offers to help her walk, and player Hyunju joins too. The 3 form a little alliance. Time was up. The hunters are released into the maze like starving wolves. A 30-minute countdown starts. Gi-hun is one of the hunters. He's chasing after player 388, a guy nicknamed Tiger. Back in Season 2, when Gi-hun tried to lead a revolt, Tiger was in charge of bringing ammo, but he got scared and never showed up, ruining the mission. Gi-hun blames him for everything that went wrong. Tiger runs into a room and unlocks it with his key, but as he pushes the door open, he nearly falls to his death. Turns out, the organizers turned the maze's center into a massive drop, a bottomless pit dressed up to look like an escape route. It's a trap for cowards who think they've found salvation, only to open the door straight to hell. Gi-hun grabbed him just as he was about to stab down with his knife, but suddenly noticed something was off. Tiger had switched places. It wasn't him anymore. It was player 197. Gi-hun froze in shock for a second, and 197 used that moment to escape. So, where did Tiger go? Gi-hun looked up and realized Big Tiger had already made it to the other side. Meanwhile, 5 minutes had passed since the game started. Player Namgyu was still standing in the same spot, not moving at all. He looked around sneakily, eyes darting. He used to be the purple-haired rapper's lackey. After the rapper died, Namgyu snagged his cross-shaped necklace, popped one of those happy pills from inside, and decided to stick with player Myung-gi, since Myung-gi had just taken out the rapper and clearly wasn't weak. But Myung-gi didn't take the pill. He needed to stay sharp. He was still searching for the pregnant woman. Not long after, the 2 of them spotted an easy target, a lone, panicked player. Time was ticking. So, Namgyu and Myung-gi split up to corner him. The poor player ran blindly into a locked room. Myung-gi blocked the door. He had a knife in hand, but when he saw that the player wasn't someone he had beef with, he hesitated. The player shoved him hard and ran, only to bump straight into Namgyu. Now, Namgyu was high off the pill and totally wild. He slammed the player against the wall, but the player fought back hard, managed to pin Namgyu to the floor and knock the knife away. Seeing this, Myung-gi jumped in and stabbed the player in the side. The tables turned. The player started begging for his life. "Please don't kill me. I've got a wife and kids." but Namgyu didn't care one bit. He raised his knife, but Myungi stopped him. You trying to ditch me and go solo? No way. So the two of them stabbed the player together. In this game, killer team members can steal each other's keys. So if someone hides in a room, they can pull a sneak attack. What Namgyu didn't realize though, was that he dropped the necklace with the pills during the fight. Min-soo, another killer team guy, picked it up. He even ate one of the pills. Later, Namgyu and Myungi found another player to kill. Same strategy as before. Trap it in a dead end, stab together, game over. Now they'd completed their mission and could leave the maze. But Myungi wasn't done. He still wanted to find Junhee. Namgyu thought Myungi was just like him. The more people you kill, the bigger your prize money. Made sense. Elsewhere, the woman who claimed to be a prophet was leading a group of scared followers looking for a safe place. She reached a fork in the road, closed her eyes, stretched out her arms like she was sensing the spirits. One of the players nervously asked, "Are you sure you know the way out?" The prophet replied, "I don't use my eyes. I follow the voices of the dead. If you don't trust me, go to hell." Meanwhile, player 100, the old man who'd shouted earlier for everyone to find the exit, finally found a door. He rushed to unlock it, but his key was square-shaped and the keyhole, triangle. Turns out every hider's key is different. Just then, BAM! A loud noise behind him. 100 freaked out, thinking the killer team had found him. He spun around, but it was a teammate. 100 said the door wouldn't open. The teammate handed over his key. Triangle-shaped, perfect fit. They both got inside, but just as the door shut, a killer team player showed up. 100 didn't hesitate. He shoved his teammate hard, slammed the door shut, and held the handle tight. From inside came a wet stab sound. The teammate was dead. 100 let out a quiet sigh. That was close. Elsewhere, player Hyunju made a discovery. Their group had one key of each shape: circle, triangle, and square, just like the symbols on the red suit guards' masks. As long as none of them got killed, they could move freely through the maze. Back with the killer team, nerves were high. Everyone wanted out first. The longer it dragged on, the harder it was to find prey. Player Hyunju's group, now being chased, was slowed down by the Junhee. Their pursuers were catching up fast. While climbing stairs, the pregnant woman slipped, tumbled down, and landed right in front of the enemy. Hyunju, being half a man, stood in front of her to shield her. He begged the enemy, "Please, she's pregnant. Don't hurt her." The enemy hesitated. He needed a kill to leave. So he begged back, "Let me kill her, and I promise I won't touch you." Hyunju refused. The guy tried to compromise again. "Okay then, give me the old lady instead." Hyunju looked back at the others. The mother thought Hyunju was about to betray them. But then, Hyunju stood tall, shoved the key into her shirt, and raised her fists. She used to be a part of the country's special forces. No way was she afraid of dying. The enemy came straight at her with a knife. Player Hyunju didn't want to hurt anyone, but she ended up with a gash on her arm. She had no choice. If she wanted to survive, she had to fight back. Using some combat moves she learned in the army, she landed a sharp elbow to the guy's face, followed it with an over-the-shoulder throw, twisted his wrist, snatched the knife, and drove it into the guy's chest. The rules only said the killer team couldn't kill each other. There was nothing about the hiding team not being allowed to fight back. Meanwhile, Junhee had twisted her ankle. Hyunju helped her into a nearby room to check her injury. Her ankle was swollen and red. It looked like a pig's foot. She didn't want to slow the others down and told them to go find the exit without her. There were only about 15 minutes left in the game, but suddenly her water broke. Crap. She was going into labor, right now, of all times. Sitting still was practically a death sentence. But what choice did she have? Labor doesn't wait for anyone. Hyunju stood guard at the door. The old lady took off her clothes to cover Junhee's legs and helped to deliver the baby. Outside, killers were lurking everywhere. Junhee bit down on her sleeve to keep from screaming. The game was still going, and staying quiet meant staying alive. Meanwhile, out in the real world, a cop was trying to locate the game island. His name was Officer Huang, the younger brother of the game master, player 001. Back in Season 2, Gi-hun had installed a tracker in one of his teeth before joining the game again, but player 001 had found it and tossed it out. Now, Officer Huang could only search around the last known location. One of Huang's men had woken up at night to use the bathroom and saw the ship captain kill one of their own. He didn't dare speak up, but used an errand as an excuse to go ashore. At the docks, he found out the captain wasn't even listed as working there. He called Huang and told him to be careful. The captain was shady. Then, he went back to digging up more dirt. Gi-hun, unaware that Officer Huang was trying to save him, was still chasing after Tiger. But Tiger was in trouble too. He got ambushed by a killer, stabbed in the leg, and almost had his face slashed. He barely managed to shove the guy down the stairs and take his knife, planning to use it against Gi-hun later. Elsewhere, the Prophet was feeling confident. She told her followers the exit was through a certain door. She unlocked it, stepped inside, and bolted back out a second later. Her followers were confused until players Myung-gi and Nam-gyu stormed out of the door and massacred them. The Prophet ran for her life and crashed straight into Tiger. Ignoring his injury, he grabbed the knife and ran off again. The Prophet ran the opposite direction and pushed it right into Gi-hun, fresh out of the frying pan, straight into the fire. Terrified, she backed away, whispering, "I'm a follower of the divine. If you kill me, you'll be cursed." She retreated until she hit a wall, but Gi-hun didn't kill her. She wasn't dumb. She quickly said, "The guy you're looking for? Tiger. He's hurt. Follow the blood trail." After Gi-hun left, the Prophet ran into Min-soo, a killer team player who'd popped some happy pills hidden in the crucifix and was now totally out of his mind. He demanded to know where player Nam-gyu was. He wanted revenge because Nam-gyu had killed his friend, the girl with the nose ring. Back in season 2, she'd always protected Min-soo, but during the riots, Min-soo had been too scared to help her. He just stood there and watched her die. That guilt never left him. Now, rules didn't matter. He had to kill Nam-gyu. The Prophet was freaked out by his crazed state and ducked into a nearby room. Turns out, it was the exit. She almost cried from joy, but her smile vanished instantly. There were 3 keyholes on the door. She couldn't open it yet, so she marked it with an arrow on the wall. In another part of the maze, old man player 100 ran into Nam-gyu and Myung-gi. He was trapped in a dead end with no working door. Out of options, he smeared fake blood from a nearby corpse all over himself and played dead. Nam-gyu double-checked one of the other bodies but didn't touch 100, so the old guy survived. After they left, a hand suddenly reached for his keys. 100 jumped up. It was the Prophet. She led him to the exit room, and together they collected all 3 keys to open the door. But just when she thought they were safe, 100 turned on to her. He yanked her back into the room, stole one of the keys, and slammed the door shut. He had the same mindset as Nam-gyu. Fewer survivors means more prize money. The Prophet was furious. She banged on the door, screaming a terrifying curse. "You damn bastard! May you burn in hell for eternity!" But before she could finish, a chill ran down her spine. Min-soo had found her again. He sobbed, asking if she'd seen the girl with the nose ring. He wanted to apologize. The Prophet, still pissed, cruelly told him, "She died because of you." That broke him. He snapped and stabbed her. She collapsed right at the exit. In his mind, she was the girl with the nose ring. He thought he'd killed her. Again, there were only 10 minutes left on the clock. Back with the others, the baby girl was finally born. The old lady pulled a hairpin knife from her bun to cut the umbilical cord and wrap the baby in some clothes. Even if they couldn't find the exit in time, as long as they didn't get killed, they'd win. But the baby started crying, and the sound drew in enemies. Hyun-ju leapt into action. One enemy shoved him hard, sending her flying. She hit the ground and got stabbed in the leg. Gritting her teeth, she swept the enemy's legs out from under him, and they fought their way into another room. The enemy lunged with the knife. Hyun-ju twisted it away, got him in a chokehold, and took him down for good. One of the killer team players saw the whole thing. Realizing he was no match, the guy backed off. As Hyun-ju got up to leave, she suddenly realized they were in the exit room. She rushed to insert the 3 keys and the door opened. He turned to tell his team the good news, but before she could finish his sentence, she froze. She'd been stabbed from behind. Myung-gi had killed him, not knowing that Yoon-ju had been protecting Joon-hee the whole time. The old lady, heartbroken, raised her hairpin knife to protect the mother and child, but Myung-gi caught a glimpse of the baby in her arms and hesitated. Nam-gyu asked if he'd found someone. Myung-gi quickly shut the door. "Nope, nothing here." The old lady stared at Hyun-ju's body, devastated. Joon-hee cried. Her ex had promised to protect her, but it was Hyun-ju who died for her instead. The old lady gently closed Hyun-ju's eyes and took her necklace, leading the mother and baby into the exit room. There were less than 3 minutes left. Just as she inserted one of the keys, her son, Young-sik, appeared at the door. He was wearing the killer team uniform. He and his mother were on opposite sides now. He wanted to kill Jun-hee. Earlier, he'd been attacked by a hiding team player who bit his arm and stole his knife. He would have died if not for a teammate saving him. The whole thing shook him. He didn't dare go after men anymore. He only went after women now. But this time, it was his own mother standing in his way. She saw what he was about to do. To protect Jun-hee and the baby, she grabbed his hand, the one holding the knife, and offered her own life. If he killed her, both he and the mother-baby pair could survive. But Young-sik couldn't do it. She was his mom. As they stood there frozen, Gi-hun followed the blood trail to a door. He opened it. The trail led up a staircase, but when he looked up, the blood trail suddenly disappeared. Gi-hun instinctively turned back and slammed the big door shut, only to find Dae-ho hiding behind it, shaking like a leaf. Dae-ho flinched at the cold look in Gi-hun's eyes and immediately started rambling, panicked. "I'm sorry, man. I never should have lied. I never served in the Marines. I've never even touched a gun. I just made that stuff up so you guys would see me as a brother, maybe protect me during the games. But I got scared, really scared. Please, I'm begging you, let me go." Gi-hun didn't care about any of that crap. He lunged forward and tackled Dae-ho to the ground. The failed rebellion was a fact. No matter how scared Dae-ho had been, Gi-hun saw it all as just cowardly excuses. "If it wasn't for you, my childhood friend Young-bae wouldn't be dead." And the others who volunteered to fight, Gi-hun was about to end him right then and there when Dae-ho suddenly whipped out a knife and slashed Gi-hun's arm. With the blade in hand, Dae-ho spat back with fury. "If you want to kill someone, it should be yourself. None of this would have happened if you hadn't come up with that dumb rebellion plan. They died because of you. You're the real monster here." That hit a nerve. Gi-hun snapped. He slammed Dae-ho against the wall and flung him across the room. The knife clattered to the floor. Dae-ho scrambled upstairs in a panic. Gi-hun snatched the knife and took off after him. Dae-ho, in full-on survival mode, ran straight to the cliff's edge. But this time, Gi-hun didn't hesitate. He had his target. Dae-ho kicked off his shoes and used them as weapons, managing to knock the knife out of Gi-hun's hand. Then he lunged and started choking him. Gi-hun fought back hard, slamming Dae-ho to the ground. Dae-ho was dazed, crawling closer to the edge, trying to escape. Gi-hun jumped on him and wrapped his hands around Dae-ho's throat. "This is all your fault. Everything that went wrong, it's because you're a coward." Dae-ho's face turned red. The lack of oxygen crept into his brain, and soon he stopped breathing. Gi-hun finally had his revenge, but he didn't feel any satisfaction because deep down, he knew Dae-ho was right. Everyone who died in the rebellion, it was all because he made the wrong call. Less than 2 minutes left in the game. Meanwhile, Young-sik was still locked in a standoff with his mom, begged Jun-hee to take the baby and run for the exit. That's when Young-sik shoved his mom aside and dove for Jun-hee instead. The baby started crying, terrified. In that moment, Young-sik's heart had turned to stone. He raised his knife, ready to kill, but then a sudden pain shot through his body. He turned and saw a hairpin stabbed into his back. His mom stood there in tears, heartbroken. She didn't want her son to become a cold-blooded killer. She looked at his pale face, unable to say a word. As the timer hit 0, the two stared at each other in silence. She collapsed to the ground, holding his lifeless body and sobbing. Young-sik never got to say goodbye. The red suits shot him on the spot. And the rest of the players in the killer team who didn't manage to kill anyone, the VIPs, disguised as red suits, came in and executed them one by one. Back in the dorm area, Gi-hun was still handcuffed. The red suit guy made the announcement. 35 players eliminated in this round, 25 remain. Current prize pool, 43.1 billion won. Each remaining player is now worth 1.724 billion. Now it's time to vote. Should the game continue? Gi-hun didn't vote. The red suits marked him as abstaining. Geum-ja stepped up to plead, "Please, let this be the end. Let the pregnant woman and her baby go. If money's the issue, take my share. I'm old. I don't need to leave." Jun-hee stood there in shock. Hyun-ju died for her. Now, Geum-ja had killed her own son for her. She felt so guilty she could hardly breathe. But with a child in her arms and her murderous ex, Myung-gi, still alive, she knew she couldn't give up. The rest of the players? They saw the money climbing higher and higher, and all they could think was, what if I'm the last one standing? I could win the full 45.6 billion. The final vote? 16 chose to continue, 8 chose to stop, 1 abstained, Gi-hun. So, The game continued. Meanwhile, the dead players' bodies were being hauled down to the basement, where organs and other body parts were being harvested for sale. Then suddenly, one of the red suits snapped and killed everyone in the basement. Only one person was spared, a doctor. This rebel red suit was No Yule, and she did it for one reason. Player 246 was about to be killed for his organs. She wanted to save him. Turns out 246 had a daughter with cancer. She'd drawn a picture for No Yule once. No Yule had a child once too, but she lost her child. She couldn't bear to see another child lose their parent, so she risked everything to bring 246 back. She made the doctor remove the bullet from 246's body, then killed the doctor and gave 246 a red suit uniform. He was to lay low in the dorms. No Yule then confronted the red suit leader. Gun in hand, she demanded a boat. The red suit leader had no clue what she was planning, but played along, hiding the keys under her food tray. No Yule's plan was simple: smuggle 246 off the island. That night, the dorm went quiet. Gumja sat by Gi-hun and begged him again, please, take care of Junhee and her baby in the next round. But Gi-hun was broken. His rebellion failed. His friends were dead. He refused. The next morning, he found that Gumja had hanged herself. Her final act woke something in him. He was going to protect the mother and child. The fifth game began. Gi-hun stuck to his promise, helping Junhee, who now had a leg injury. He carried the baby for her. Her ex, Myung-gi, just watched. He was utterly useless. When Gi-hun saw the baby's face, he thought of his own daughter. He felt a wave of tenderness wash over him. The next game was called Cliff Jump Rope. 25 players, 20 minutes. They had to jump rope and cross a bridge. Players chose their own order. As the game began, the metal figures standing on opposite ends started singing a childhood rhyme. The bridge was way above ground. The jump rope didn't spin fast, but it was made of thick steel cables. Get hit, and you were gone before you even fell. No one dared to go first. Namgyu's legs gave out just looking at the height. He reached for one of his happy pills to get his courage back, but he'd lost his necklace after the hide-and-seek game. He searched frantically, but found nothing. Then Min-soo stepped up. He popped the last pill, then smugly showed Namgyu the necklace. Namgyu lunged for it, desperate. He was already going through withdrawal. It felt like ants were crawling under his skin. Min-soo threw the necklace onto the bridge. If you want it, go get it, you junkie loser. No pills, no balls, huh? Enraged, Namgyu ran onto the bridge, but the moment he stepped on it, he regretted it. The rope swinging made thunder-like sounds. Below was nothing but black emptiness. He crawled, jumped, and trembled like a dog, barely staying up. He finally got to the necklace, opened it, empty. He froze. A second later, wham! The jump rope took him out. Min-soo smiled. Revenge complete. The VIPs were bored. That guy died too fast. Then they spotted the baby and the mom. They decided the baby should play too. He's a separate individual, right? Way more interesting than the adults. Gi-hun lost it. He tried to fight back, but the red suits pointed guns at him instantly. He glanced at the woman's swollen ankle. No way she could cross the bridge, especially while holding a baby. So he came up with a plan. First, get the baby across, then go back for her. He wrapped the baby tight in his jacket and jumped onto the bridge, but the landing was rough. With the baby on him, his balance was off. He nearly fell. The baby wailed in fear. Gi-hun cradled the baby's head and butt, trying to calm him down. Step by step, he moved forward until he hit a big gap in the middle of the bridge. Everyone watching held their breath. Gi-hun knew standing still would just wear him out. The VIPs shouted, "Jump! Come on! 456! Jump!" He focused on the rope's rhythm. As it passed over his head, he leapt. He cleared the gap, but he wobbled and nearly fell. The VIPs were thrilled. Even player 001 was impressed. Gi-hun kept moving. Finally, he made it to the end. He first made sure the baby was safe, and just as he was about to go back, the next players made their move. Seeing Gi-hun make it across gave them the courage to try. Soon, player 96 also crossed. But instead of stepping aside, he shoved the next player off the edge. Gi-hun was shocked. "What the hell are you doing?" Player 96 smirked. "Don't act dumb. Less players equals more money." Gi-hun was stunned. This guy wanted to push everyone off. Then the two survivors could split the 22.7 billion won. Hadn't they been through enough to know life was precious? But 96 didn't care. "I'm ending this game my way." The people still on the bridge? Screwed. They had to beg for their lives while jumping rope. One slip and they were dead. Player 100, an old man, pleaded, "Take my share." all of it. Just let me through. But 96 knew he owed 100 billion in debt. Your share wouldn't even cover your bills. While they argued, a man behind them yelled, "When I get over there, I'm kicking your ass." Too bad, he didn't make it. He fell to his death mid-threat. A woman panicked and yelled for everyone to turn back. No one listened. Someone behind her fell. She barely made it off the bridge, only to get kicked off a second later. This was Squid Game. 1 second of hesitation and you were gone. Player 100 kept begging. He couldn't jump anymore. Gi-hun had had enough. "Move, or I'll push you myself. Then you won't get a single one." 96 flinched and backed off. Finally, the bridge cleared again. Time remaining 7 minutes and 14 seconds. But the rope was spinning faster now. One by one, players leapt forward. No one had time to mess around anymore. Gi-hun had been keeping an eye on Jun-hee the whole time. She had hurt her foot in the last game and hadn't even had time to treat the wound before being thrown into the next round. But having just given birth, she barely had the strength to stand. She jumped twice and collapsed. Gi-hun wanted nothing more than to rush over and help her. Her ex, Myung-gi, grabbed her hand and tried to lead her forward, but she yanked her hand away, eyes red with tears, and demanded, "Why are you doing this? Hyunju protected me and the baby, and you killed her with your knife. Was it all for money?" Myung-gi tried to explain. "I didn't know she was with you guys. I just wanted to protect you and the baby. I wanted to get us out of here, to give us a good life." But Jun-hee wasn't buying a word. "This baby has nothing to do with you, scumbag." Then she showed him her swollen foot. One look and Myung-gi froze. There was no way she could keep up. Helping her would be suicide, so he turned and walked away. While everyone else was working together to cross the bridge, player 96 suddenly jumped Gi-hun, punching him and grabbing his neck. Gi-hun was being strangled, seconds from passing out. Was this really how it would end? His mind flashed back to why he'd returned to the Squid Game in the first place, to end this deadly system. He remembered the first round. Red light, green light. He ran to the front to warn people, and they all used a caterpillar strategy to make it through together. The second round was when their legs were tied together. Gi-hun was teamed up with Young-bae, Dae-ho, player 001, and Jun-hee. Each had a role. She played slap game. Jung-bae hit the targets, Dae-ho grabbed objects, 001 spun the top, and Gi-hun did the shuttlecock kicks. They barely made it in time. In the third round, find your partner on the spinning disc. The same team stayed together, adjusting as numbers were called. They all survived. But during the final rebellion night, Jung-bae and 001 died. Thinking about that snapped Gi-hun back into the moment. He couldn't give up. Summoning everything he had, he gouged at 96's eyes and flipped him with a spinning kick. 96 got flung off the bridge by a safety wire and disappeared. There were 3 minutes and 20 seconds left. One player in front of Myung-gi was too scared to move, just hopping in place. Myung-gi threatened him, "If you don't move, I'll push you off." That only made the guy panic more. He lost his footing and nearly fell, barely holding onto the bridge's edge. "Please, help me," he cried, but Myung-gi just stepped over him. The guy fell to his death. Now, Jun-hee was the only one left behind. With 1 minute and 9 seconds to go, Gi-hun shouted for her to stay put. He'd come back for her, but she yelled back, "Don't come back. If you don't make it, my baby won't survive. Please, just protect my child. You're my only hope." Tears filled Gi-hun's eyes as he watched her step toward the edge. A single tear rolled down her cheek before she ended her own life. The round was over, but player 222, Jun-hee, was gone forever. Back in the dorm, the survivors had no idea that the VIPs had been watching the whole thing. To spice things up, they decided the baby would inherit her number, player 222, and continue in the games. The Red Guards came to announce the results. 9 players remaining, and the prize pool was 44.7 billion won. That'd be about 4.96 billion per player. Someone noticed something was off. 9 players? That's not right. Then they found out the baby was counted as a player too. The room erupted. "This is BS. We risk our lives in these games. And now a baby who did nothing gets to split the prize? I won't accept this." They started shouting, saying the baby should go be with her mom already. A group stormed toward the baby in anger. Bang! A gunshot rang out. A Red Guard warned, "No violence allowed between players. Everyone gets a fair chance." Then they brought in gifts for everyone. All the players dressed in suits for the banquet. After so many days, they finally got a proper meal. Even the baby got special formula. A Red Guard gave a hint for the final round. In the last game, as long as you eliminate at least 3 players, you'll pass. Someone picked up on that. At least 3? So we can take out more? Also, players got to decide who got eliminated. 5 players voted yes, so the final game was on. Back in the dorm, player 100, the old man, called a meeting. They planned to get rid of Gi-hun, the baby, and Min-soo, player 125. That night, when Nam-gyu killed the nose-pierced girl, Min-soo had hidden in fear. Ever since, his mind hadn't been right. During the hide-and-seek game, he stole Nam-gyu's pills. He'd taken one before the jump rope round and barely made it. Now, in withdrawal, he'd become a liability. The players agreed he had to go. The plan was set. Get rid of those 3 in the next round, then the 6 survivors would each walk away with 7.6 billion won. But would things really go that smoothly? That night, while everyone slept, the Red Guards brought Gi-hun to see the game master. Gi-hun was furious. You added the baby to make the game more dramatic, right? To watch us lose our minds and kill a kid for money? 001 said he wanted to help Gi-hun. He slid a knife across the table. If you want to survive, kill the ones who are plotting against you. They're full and asleep. They won't feel a thing. If you really want to protect that kid, this is your best shot. Then he took off his mask. He was player 001 all along. Gi-hun grabbed the knife, rage boiling. He'd watched 001 shoot Jungbai, his best friend. He wanted to end him right there, but 001 just calmly said, "No one will stop you, but even if you kill me, nothing will change. Someone else will take my place tomorrow. You'll still face the same nightmare." Gi-hun's hand trembled. Then he lowered the knife. Right now, the most important thing was protecting the baby. As he turned to leave, 001 asked him, "Do you still believe in humanity?" Gi-hun hesitated. Back when he first played, he'd thought 001 was just a poor, sick old man, but it turned out he created the whole game to play with people's lives. His friends, even his mom, were all gone. His daughter had left him. That's why he'd come back, to destroy it all. But now, even Jungbai was dead, and he was powerless to stop it. The only thing keeping him going was the dying request from Junhee, "Protect my baby." Gi-hun returned to the dorm and crept up to the old man, knife ready. Player 100 had always pushed people to keep playing. He got everyone to vote yes when Gi-hun tried to stop the game. He even betrayed the prophet during hide and seek, took her key, and escaped alone. He wasn't innocent. From the control room, 001 watched, curious to see what Gi-hun would do. He remembered facing the same choice years ago when he was still a player. The host then offered him a knife. 001 killed everyone and became the champion. Now, it was Gi-hun's turn. He raised the knife, but then he remembered what Kang Se-byok whispered. "Don't do it. You're not that kind of person." Gi-hun froze. If he killed someone in their sleep, wouldn't he become just like 001? In the control room, 001 had a flicker of admiration, but also worry. Gi-hun clearly couldn't cross that line. He wasn't cut out for Squid Game. The others were ruthless. He was still holding on to hope. Gi-hun now had to protect the kid alone. The next day, they were taken to the final game, Squid Game. Players would fight on 3 towers, square, triangle, and circle. First, everyone started on the square tower. If anyone managed to knock others off, they advanced to the triangle. Same deal there. Get someone out, move to the circle tower. But if no one got eliminated within the time limit, everyone on that tower would be eliminated. As the rules were explained, Min-soo started hallucinating again. He thought he saw Thanos clinging to the edge, begging for help. He reached out, only to see it was player Nam-gyu. Nam-gyu cursed at him, demanding the pills back. His visions flipped between Nam-gyu and Thanos. Min-soo panicked, stomping at thin air. Behind him, player 100's group started scheming. Time to vote out someone. Someone suggested the baby, but Myung-gi stopped them. If we push the baby, Gi-hun will follow. That means we'd need to eliminate someone else too. Not worth it. Wait, why is Gi-hun so protective? Is he the baby's father? Little did they know, the real dad was Myung-gi. He redirected the plan, target someone weak. They all turned to Min-soo. Withdrawals had wrecked him. He was the easy pick. It was a unanimous vote. They told him to jump, but he refused. "I just wanted to live. What did I do wrong? If you want to win, why don't you jump?" No one wanted to get too close. If he grabbed someone, they'd fall too. So Myung-gi grabbed a metal rod, intending to jab him off. At that moment, Min-soo saw another hallucination. The pierced girl. He sobbed, apologizing. She reached out, inviting him to join her. He took her hand, but it turned into the rod, and he fell. They moved to the triangle tower for round 2. Gi-hun now realized he and the kid were the next targets. He wished Woo Seok or Officer Hwang could bust in and help. Meanwhile, outside, Yes, Woo Seok suspected the ship captain was part of the organization. He and a friend went to search his house. One guarded outside, the other snuck in, only to be attacked by a massive black dog. Inside, he found nothing useful, until he spotted a photo on the wall. The captain and Gong Yu, they were connected. Suddenly, he heard something, the dog. He shot it in panic, then noticed something off near its kennel. Underneath, a huge jar full of cash and masks. The captain was part of the organization. He hadn't told Officer Huang yet because cops had already arrived. He was arrested and tried to explain everything. The games, the captain, Gong Yu's involvement, but he had no info on Gong Yu's identity. The cops scoffed. "You don't even know who he is? All I know is who you are. Kidnapper, thief, blackmailer, you're going to jail." Turns out, the captain only had one gambling charge from 10 years ago. Nothing since, not even a parking ticket. He was screwed. At this point, the captain has no idea his base is being raided. He's discussing the location of the island with Officer Huang, who happens to be Agent 001's younger brother. Officer Huang has been working tirelessly to find the island, but so far, there's still no lead. Back at sea, the captain got a call. Someone broke into his house, stole the money, uniforms, and even killed his dog. And the intruder had accused him of being in the game. He instantly knew. It was Woo Seok. Woo Seok, in custody, demanded to call his lawyer. He snatched a phone and called Officer Huang, blurting, "The captain's one of them. I found the masks and suits." But just then, the captain gunned down everyone on the boat. One survivor remained. The captain demanded to know where Officer Huang was, but the guy attacked him. Officer Huang shot him with a harpoon. "Why?" he asked. The captain answered, "My orders were to keep you alive, but it's already too late. Even if you get there, you're too late." Then he killed himself. Now, only Officer Huang and one crew member remain. Suddenly, his phone rang. It was 001. "If you keep digging into this, you're going to die." But Officer Huang didn't flinch. "If you wanted to stop me, you should have killed me back then." 001 hung up. Meanwhile, Gi-hun was caught in a standoff. All 6 players wanted to eliminate the child, but to win, they had to separate her from Gi-hun first. So, they tried to reason with him. "We're human too. We don't want to do this, but since the kid already lost her mom, maybe it's better to let her go peacefully, to reunite with her in the afterlife. It'd be a relief for her." They got a metal pipe ready and asked Gi-hun to hang the kid from it, promising they'd send her to heaven. By now, Gi-hun was standing right at the edge. No room to back off. Player 203 hit the button. The 15-minute countdown started. He didn't have the patience. "If you won't give up the kid, I'll push both of you off." Just as the players were about to act, Gi-hun stared them down. "Go ahead and try, but you'll be next. They're already planning to get rid of you." The player turned and saw the others whispering. Gi-hun's psychological games worked. The player backed off. 203 had enough. "If you won't do it, I will." He went for the pipe and got into a shouting match with Gi-hun. The others jumped in. "Hey, chill out. Our priority is to separate Gi-hun and the kid might not fight each other. We still have time. Let's talk it out." 203 insisted Gi-hun was bluffing. "If we all pressure him, he'll cave." But player 352 disagreed. "He brought that kid even during the jump rope round. What makes you think he'll abandon her now?" Suddenly, Myung-gi spoke up from the corner. He said the group had picked someone to stand first using rock, paper, scissors. They tied a rope made of jackets around player 336's waist and had him step forward. He told Gi-hun, "We're drawing lots to pick who gets eliminated in this and the next round. You can draw one for the kid." Gi-hun didn't buy it. "You're all in this together. The second I reach for a lot, you'll separate me from the kid. Bring the lots here. I'll draw right here." 336 knew the lie couldn't last. He suddenly lunged and grabbed Gi-hun, but Gi-hun pulled a knife from his belt and cut the jacket rope. Player 39, tied at the end, nearly fell. 336 felt the slack and froze. The tide was turning. Gi-hun held the knife out. 336, now at the edge, begged for mercy. "They made me do it. Said they'd kill me if I didn't." While they argued, Myung-gi quietly moved behind Gi-hun with the pipe. He suddenly charged, shouting for Gi-hun to duck. Gi-hun dodged, and 336 ended up at the bottom. Nobody saw Myung-gi's betrayal coming, not even the VIPs. The remaining 4 players backed off. "Someone already died this round. Let's just move on and draw lots for the next one. Make it fair." But Myung-gi declared, "I don't care what tricks you play. I'm protecting that kid, cuz she's my daughter." The VIPs were stunned. There's a dad and a mom and a kid. Are we watching a family reunion here? But things just got real. A father protecting his kid. What would he do next? Gi-hun remembered how Myung-gi was chatting with Jun-hee earlier. It all made sense now. He really was the father. Myung-gi was confident now. We've got weapons. If we team up, they won't stand a chance. But the others were faltering again. They ganged up on player 39, planning to toss him off the circle tower to finish the game and split the prize 6 ways. To make sure 39 couldn't fight back, player 203 broke his leg. Total overkill. But was it really that simple? Gi-hun stepped up with his knife, asking to draw lots. 203 lost it. This is ridiculous. The game could have ended now, and you're still pretending to be the good guy? You're just like the rest. Standing on corpses to get here, he lunged for the knife. They wrestled on the ground. At the same time, Myung-gi stabbed player 353 during a scuffle over the pipe. Now, it was 2 separate 1 versus 1 fights. Player 100 didn't know who to help. 203 suddenly got the upper hand. He grabbed the knife and slashed at Gi-hun, about to kill him. But Gi-hun grabbed his hair and slammed him down. 203 pounced, but Gi-hun countered and stabbed him in the side. Meanwhile, Myung-gi and 353 fought their way to the triangle tower's edge. 353 clung to the pipe, his last hope. He begged Myung-gi to spare him. Myung-gi responded by sending him to his death. Both fights ended. Myung-gi turned toward player 100, who quickly tried to bargain. Let's just drag 39 over and split the cash. You can even have my share if you want. Just let me live. But Myung-gi just smiled. If we kill you, we each get way more. And with that, 100 was gone. Round 2 over. Then player 39 crawled to the edge on his own. I don't want to be a burden. You guys figure it out. And he jumped. Now, it was down to just Myung-gi, Gi-hun, and the baby. One of them had to die. While the two fought in the arena, No-ul was fighting behind the scenes. She was escaping with player 246. Her superior warned her, "Hand him over and I'll let you go. I may not know where you are, but I do know where you're going. Seocheong University Hospital, Pediatric Oncology, room 4104. No-ul realized they'd found 246's daughter. She told him to head north and call the cops once he landed. Then she doubled backs. The boss ordered them killed. No-ul climbed a cliff, broke into the ventilation shaft, and entered the Game Master's room. When he opened the door, she had a gun aimed at him. She made him delete all files on 246. He complied, but told her the paper records were in 001's office. Only the Game Master could access it. She forced him to go upstairs, but in the elevator, he turned on her. They fought. He choked and kicked her, shocked in that she was doing all this for someone else's kid. You think this erases the guilt of abandoning your own? He knew she had a child, left behind when she smuggled herself into Korea. He stabbed her. Bleeding, she crawled toward the elevator. He taunted her like a cat playing with a dying mouse, but he forgot. He dropped a gun. She shot him dead. No-ul broke into the basement, found the player files, and burned them all. She found her own folder. Her husband had been executed. Her daughter, already dead. Meanwhile, Gi-hun was desperate. Myung-gi walked to the final platform. When Gi-hun followed, Myung-gi grabbed the pipe and told him, "Send the kid over. I'm staying here." He was making it clear. Either the kid or he had to die. Was he really gonna kill his own daughter and walk away with the money? System warning. The bridge will retract in 5 minutes. Gi-hun stepped forward, determined, but Myung-gi blocked him. "Come closer and I'll throw her off. I'll take the money alone. You already won once. Why'd you even come back? You know how I ended up here?" Gi-hun calmly said he made a promise to Jun-hee to protect the child. Myung-gi froze. "So you knew her? No wonder she wouldn't leave you. I knew something was up. You two had something going, didn't you?" Gi-hun was shocked. No wonder the woman distanced herself. She was already struggling to raise a kid alone, and now Myung-gi was accusing her of cheating. Myung-gi ignored everything Gi-hun said. He only saw betrayal. "Put the kid down, now." Gi-hun backed off the bridge and set the child down. Only 30 seconds left. He quietly grabbed his knife and leaped onto the round platform. The final battle began. Gi-hun had a knife, but Myung-gi had reach with pipe. He knocked the knife away and shoved Gi-hun to the edge. Gi-hun dragged him down too. Myung-gi scrambled to retrieve the knife. Gi-hun grabbed him and punched him, not for himself, but for the woman who had suffered so much. Then, the unthinkable, Myung-gi grabbed the child. "Come closer, and I'll throw her down." Gi-hun was horrified. This man was using his own daughter as leverage. Gi-hun dropped his knife and used his jacket to shield his hand. Myung-gi slashed Gi-hun's stomach and cut his wrist. Gi-hun managed to pull the knife out. The two tumbled off the platform, but at the last moment, Gi-hun grabbed the tower's beams. Myung-gi clung to Gi-hun's clothes, but the fabric began to tear. Myung-gi's eyes welled with tears. Was it fear or regret? It was hard to tell. Gi-hun tried to hold on, but Myung-gi fell. His sins finally catching up to him. Gi-hun climbed back up. The VIPs were stunned. He'd survived again. Two-time winner. 91.2 billion won in total. But would he take the money? Gi-hun hit the button. The 15-minute timer began. He cradled the child and remembered his daughter in the US. He hated the game makers for dragging even kids into this. He hated himself for how many had died because of his fight. Tears welled in his eyes. He wasn't a good father, wasn't a good son, but he wanted to make things right. He kissed the baby's forehead like she was his own daughter. In the control room, No-hyul was about to end her life until she saw this. She stopped. She wanted to know what Gi-hun would choose. He placed the child down and faced the cameras. His final words, "We are not horses, we are humans." 001 watched, as if seeing a braver version of his past self. Gi-hun didn't use the knife to carve a path for himself. He used it to save a newborn. He stood tall, even if it meant dying. Gi-hun chose death. Only one survivor remained, the child, Junhee's baby. The game was over. Elsewhere, 246 was still fleeing at sea. Red guards found him and started shooting. The bullets missed him, but hit the engine. With no escape, 246 prepared to fight. He ran out of bullets, helpless. Just as a red guard aimed at him, bam, he dropped. It was Officer Huang. He saved him. 246 pointed him to the island. Huang contacted the Coast Guard and dove underwater to infiltrate the island. 001 realized someone was getting close. He ordered an evacuation and triggered explosives. He visited Gi-hun's body and removed his mask in a moment of respect. Then took the child and left by elevator. Officer Huang broke in, face to face with his brother again, still unable to understand why he did this. 001 said nothing. 30 minutes later, the island exploded. 6 months later, No-hyul visited 246, asking him to draw. He never saw her face, but she looked familiar. His daughter had recovered, thanks to everyone's help. No-hyul got a call. Someone had spotted her daughter overseas. She left to find her. Gi-hun's money had vanished. Officer Huang and a friend picked up their buddy from prison. No one knew where the cash went. That night, Officer Huang came home. Junhee's daughter was waiting with a note. Inside, a bank card. He typed in the code 0222. 45.6 billion won elsewhere. Across the ocean, Gi-hun's daughter answered the door. 001 was there with a gift. She angrily said she didn't care about her dad anymore. 001 handed her a box. From Seong Gi-hun, he's passed away. She opened it. Inside, his 456 player uniform, stained with blood, and a bank card. So, 001 had taken the money and given it to Gi-hun's daughter. She rushed outside, but he was gone. 001 walked the streets of America. Nearby, people were playing Dakji. This time, the recruiter was a woman, slapping faces left and right. Looks like Squid Game is still happening somewhere in the world. If someone invited you to play, would you? This was Squid Game Season 3. If you enjoyed the recap, I recommend you go watch the real thing. And don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time. Bye.